Hey there, and welcome to our discussion this week on specialty courts. I want to talk a little bit this week about why we have specialty courts, exactly what they consist of, and some of the benefits that we have in the fact that they exist, and a couple of the liabilities as well. So, our criminal justice system in today's society is supposed to help people. I mean, it's supposed to help society. It's supposed to help the community. And part of the community, sometimes is often we often forget that part of the community is the offender. The offenders are part of the community as well. They're not just this separate, segregated aspect of our society that we're supposed to be forgetting about. We should be helping people through the justice system. Now, when we think about the court system and handing out punishment and the reasons we punish folks in our society, sometimes we forget that we can help people through sentencing. The old adage that if all you have is a hammer in your tool belt, then every problem starts looking like a nail. If all we have is incarceration as a tool of sentencing or a tool of the court system, then sure, the that's what we're going to start using for every single problem. But you know what? We have a lot of, you know, again, for lack of a better word, problems, issues, challenges in our society that maybe incarceration is not the ideal answer to. So let's talk about specialty courts because that's our alternative to that. Here's the thing. Specialty courts, one of the primary assets of a specialty court is vertical prosecution and the ability to keep the team together. The team, the actors in a court system together throughout an entire judicial process, an entire court process. So, for instance, we're going to talk about the different types of specialty courts we have, but I'll talk about court when it comes to drug courts. If we keep the defense, the prosecution, and the judge all the same throughout the entire process, wouldn't that be a great way to actually get to know the needs of the offender? Obviously, if somebody's in drug court, they have some sort of challenge with narcotics. Probably we can assume it's some sort of addiction issue. Now, maybe incarceration is the answer to that. Maybe we get somebody incarcerated, and through that there's mandatory rehabilitation, and that problem can be solved. Or maybe there's other alternative solutions. Maybe we can keep from incarcerating them and get them to some mandatory or compelled rehabilitation there. Avoid incarceration. Avoid people losing jobs if they have a job. Avoid people missing mortgage or rent payments because they were in jail and losing their home. There's a whole ton of benefits that can come from not incarcerating somebody. But if we keep that team together, they start learning the needs and the challenges that each individual offender that's in that court system or that courtroom faces. Then not only do they know the needs of the offender, they also have a really specific knowledge of that type of court case. When it comes to specialty courts, I'll use drug court again as an example. People that work in a drug court, the judges that are involved in sentencing, the defense and the prosecution that are all involved in these specific specialized cases like drug courts, they're very knowledgeable in the resources available to resolve that specific challenge. They don't have to be generalists. Wow, that's a hard word for me to say today. Generalists. They don't have to be generalists. They can be specialists. They can know just every nuance, every minute detail of the resources available for that jurisdiction, whereas perhaps a generalized prosecutor wouldn't know those types of resources to offer, or judges that don't specialize in those courts may not know that. They may not be as learned in those topics. So that's a really good benefit. This vertical prosecution is a really good benefit of these specialized courts. So let's talk about the types of specialized courts we have. I talked about drug courts. Another good example is homeless courts. We have homeless courts where there's a lot of very community oriented issues that come with homelessness, whether it be vagrancy or aggressive panhandling, public drunkenness. So those are some oftentimes misdemeanor type uh, public crimes that the community thinks about when they think about homelessness. And if we can maybe have a specialized way of dealing with them, a very knowledgeable team of prosecutors, defense, and judges who know the resources available for folks who are arrested or cited for vagrancy or aggressive panhandling or any of the stereotypical problems associated with homelessness, maybe they can solve the underlying issue instead of the misdemeanor crime affiliated with that issue. Another one is veterans. There's a lot of and veterans courts and mental health courts both deal with a lot of the same issues sometimes. And, when it comes to the mental health aspect of that underlies crime, there again lies a smaller misdemeanor or even could be a felony crime, but that crime could be caused or correlated by this larger underlying issue of mental health or the need for mental health treatment. So those types of specialty courts exist. We also have gun courts and DV courts, which are very crime specific. What is what are the benefits of, say, a domestic violence court? Having that same team together to get somebody into the counseling necessary to uh, counteract the negative impact of being on the victim side of the domestic violence, but also preventing future domestic violence by treating offenders through counseling can also be a benefit. Now, I told you we talked a lot about the benefits. There are some liabilities. The primary liability when it comes to specialized courts is the perception, specifically the perception of the public, that these courts are soft on crime. Very few politicians and very few folks associated with the criminal justice system want to be labeled as soft on crime. Everybody wants to beat crime, fight crime. I mean, we use that term. Law enforcement officers will use that term. They're crime fighters. But when it comes to helping out offenders, sometimes helping the offender prevent committing those offenses in the future is a way of fighting crime in general. Maybe not fighting that particular offender, but fighting crime, fighting the future occurrences of those criminal acts is fighting crime. But it can be perceived as being soft on crime if you have this defense, prosecution, and judge all working towards the same direction. It doesn't necessarily give the impression that adversarial aspect of court that we talked about a couple weeks ago. So, with that being said, if you have any questions, as always, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we will talk again soon.